Good morning, y'all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. We have a brand new project that we're going to start on this video. Anyway, you guys have already seen our tool organization wall. We have one more thing that we need to do to it down the line, but super happy with it. But now, this big blank space, we need to do something with that. The old shop sign that we had sitting hanging there was okay, but it's time to redo that and do something a little bit more special. Speaking of special, the guys over at Woodworker Source sent me some 8/4 mahogany. Check that out. It is absolutely stunning. So these are 3 foot long by 6 inches wide. I got 3 of them, and I'm going to put 2 of these together and make my new shop sign. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into it right away, so stick around and see what we come up with. First things first, we got to make our board. So we were fortunate enough that Woodworker Source sent us some pieces of mahogany. This stuff is so pretty, and I think it's going to make a great sign. So I took 2 pieces 30 inches long, 36 inches long, and laminated them together with a glue joint in the middle. So my piece is all glued together. Now I took my sander and sanded down the glue joint. There wasn't much of a mismatch, so it was pretty easy sanding, and the glue joint turned out perfect. Okay, time for the layout. So the first thing is I found a font that I really liked. This font is called Mogra, M-O-G-R-A. And it's a little bit different, and I really like the looks of it, so I decided to go with this one. Next, I wanted to set up some clamps because I wanted my line in an arch. So as you can see, I set up some clamps and used a yardstick, and this is a great way to get an arch if you don't have one pre-made. So these are 4-inch letters, and I had plenty of room to use the profile bit to go around all of the letters. I really like the way this mahogany cuts. It's hard, but it's very consistent. So if you get a chance to use mahogany, it makes some great signs.
let's take it real slow. You know we got what you need, baby, so take it, move along. I said we got what you need, honey, come and groove along. Come on. Rolling on that highway and beat up. Wow! Come on, and groove along. Come on, said babe.
So I was about 1/4 of an inch deep with my profile bit. Now I'm gonna match that with my 1/8 inch spiral bit because I need a little bit more room around all my outset letters.
Yeah, you gotta move along. Gotta feel it, feel it, feel it, feel you gotta feel it, feel it, feel it, feel you gotta feel it. On the roadway, gotta.
So I've used the 1/8 inch bit. Now I'm going with the 1/4 inch spiral upcut to again expand my buffer zone around all of my outset letters, so I've got plenty of room when I start power carving.
You gotta move along. I said, honey, take it real slow. I said, honey, just take it real slow. Oh, oh, oh. You gotta groove on. You gotta groove on.
So here, the spiral bit is set at 1/4 of an inch deep. Now what I'm doing is I'm removing 1/4 of an inch of all of the material all the way around my outset letters. The reason I'm doing that is because it saves me a lot of time when I go to do my power carving. I'm automatically 1/4 of an inch deep.
If I open up my arms, I can see the skies. I can see the sky. See the sky. See the sky. Watch
Okay, now it's time to start power carving. So because I have some really tight areas around the letters, I'm using the 1/8 inch Kutzall sphere, and it is a really small little ball that allows me to get into some tight spaces. So I'm using that wherever I can and giving myself a really cool dimple looking texture, which is what I'm looking for. So now I have to use the Kutzall taper. The reason I'm using that is because there are places that the ball doesn't fit, like inside of some of the letters, and I want texture everywhere. So this taper works great for getting into the really, really tight spots in between the letters, in the middle of the outset letters. So here I'm starting with the angle grinder on taking away all of that material, and I'm using the extreme coarse concave disc made by Kutzall that really removes a lot of material at a time. I love the way this thing works. Now that I've got most of my material, or pretty much all of my material removed, I want to go back and smooth out the background. What I switched over is to the medium cuts-all disc, and that gives me a much smoother background on my power carbon. Okay, the carving is all done. Now it's time to start getting a finish on this thing. So I am using my resin epoxy, and I'm putting a seal coat on this sign, front, back, and all four edges. I want to completely seal this thing up with a resin epoxy. A lot of people will ask, why didn't you paint and then put your seal coat over the top of that? The one-shot paint that I use, I really like it the way it flows over the top of a finish. So I didn't put the one-shot underneath the seal coat. I wanted to put it on top of the seal coat, and then we're going to flood coat on top of that. So I used a fat brush, and you can see when I'm painting, I am just bringing it to the edge, kind of pushing it from the inside to the outside of the letter. Rather than actual painting, I feel more like I'm just pushing it to the edge. It just works well for me. So here I am using my resin epoxy, and I mixed up 10 ounces, 5 and 5, because it's a 1-to-1, and did my flood coat. And I'm really happy. It was the exact amount that I needed. Had a little bit left, but that's always better than not having enough. So the flood coat, I think, came out terrific. I'm super happy with the way that this came out. And the seal coat, I think, made a huge difference. So I didn't have hardly any bubbles at all. All right, guys and gals, there it is. Our wall is complete. We've got our tool organization. We made the sign a new sign. I think a much improved sign over the set that we had before. Really super happy with it. That's a piece of mahogany that we got from Woodworker's Source. Just super happy with our wall, and I've been using it now for a couple weeks, and I'm telling you, it really has changed our game as far as organization and time. And so I've never been much of an organized guy, but man, I'm telling you, I love this. I love it. It was Ryan's idea. We've been kind of working on it, and this is what we finally came up with, and Ryan kind of pushed me to get this thing going. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Just realize, kind of use your imagination and creativity, and this isn't something that I've ever seen before that anybody else has done, but I think it's going to work well for us. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you need any supplies, obviously now you know where to go. If we can answer any questions for you, Eric at makeawoodsign.com or Ryan at makeawoodsign.com. Thanks so much, guys. We love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.